Erin, a realtor from the seaside town of Shaw Bay, finds herself in a difficult situation while dealing with the threat of redevelopment. However, the handsome royal Theo comes to the small town looking for a property, but hides the fact that he's royalty. In the opening scene, we get to see the beautiful scenery of the small town. We see Erin, the protagonist of the story. She is a beautiful young lady with blonde hair and piercing blue eyes, who works as a realtor. Erin walks down the street in a positive spirit, greeting everyone until she sees that the marina is going under some structure. She doesn't want the marina to be changed or sold to anyone so they can build on it because it will change the history of the town. At work, she complains to her boss about Martha bringing workers to look at the marina for redevelopment. Her boss Mitch suggests that it's a good thing, but she reminds him of Claremont and how it has become a shopping center and all the beautiful sights from the village have been replaced with glass windows and designer bags. Mitch reminds her that people need income, and that's how Erin gets the idea to make her biggest sale. Therefore, impressing Martha and proving to her that Shaw Bay is a wanted town after all. She sits in her best friend's restaurant, browsing the internet for open houses, something more luxurious and out of her usual price range. Harper, her best friend, notices that Erin's stressed, so she asks whether she has eaten anything. Guilty, Erin doesn't say anything, which confirms that she hasn't. Returning with a delicious sandwich, Harper asks Erin to promise her that she would put herself first. But Erin goes straight for the sandwich, so they start fighting over the plate. Their tugging war is interrupted as a young handsome man appears in front of them. He starts speaking and Harper can't help but notice his British accent, so she makes him say the word herb while smiling from ear to ear. The young man asks for some quiet, so Harper points him to the table outside. He orders a fresh salad, but the girls let him know that it is a fish restaurant. In the end, they settle on a salad, and as the man's eating it, he can't help but notice Erin making a mess out of the sandwich she's eating. He politely gets to her table and offers his napkin, which has the little T sewn onto it. After cleaning herself, Erin returns the napkin while asking what the T stands for. Theo Johnson is the name of the young man, and he lets her know that she can keep the napkin as he has many more. As if their conversation wasn't awkward enough, they start walking in the same direction and eventually acknowledge that they are. Letting him walk before her, Erin gets to work late and complains about Theo and how odd he is. Just as she says that, Theo walks from behind Mitch, and Erin gets embarrassed. As they sit at Erin's desk, she apologizes for calling him odd and lets him know that she only called him like that because he wasn't talking a lot. People in Shaw Bay are very friendly and talkative. To find something suitable for him, Erin asks Theo about his job, family, and his hobbies. He doesn't understand why she needs to know all of that, but she continues to ask him questions either way. She asks whether he has kids, whether he's married or in a relationship, and what he does. Not wanting to go through all of the questions, Theo lets Erin know that he's looking for a small place only for himself, and nothing extravagant. He wants his property to be secure and private with a swimming pool and a gymnasium, as well as a wine cellar. Erin gets confused because hers and his idea of small don't seem to match, so she asks him about the number of bedrooms he's looking for. Theo wants no more than 7 or 8 bedrooms, in case he has guests. Erin looks at him with wide eyes, so he takes that as a sign that she can't help him. However, she assures him that she will find him the perfect house. All she needs is a little bit of time, so she suggests they look at some houses the following day. He agrees on doing so and asks her whether she can point him to the nearest hotel or guest house. Unfortunately, she gets a call but lets him know that Bess's guest house is close by. At the guest house, he is met with Bess, the owner of the guest house. She doesn't want to make a reservation for Theo at first, but once she finds out that he has been recommended by Erin, she gives him a room right away. After bombarding him with her rules, Bess finally gives the keys to room 5 to Theo so he can settle in. The next morning, Theo wakes up to a fish on the wall that scares him a little bit. Getting out of the house, he is met with Erin, who asks him about his stay. He admits that there are too many rules, but he did have a wonderful night's sleep. Erin admits to finding only one house but claims that he would love it. We see them at the house, surrounded by the beautiful greenery of the garden, when Erin asks him whether it reminds him of England. Theo lets her know that he only went to boarding school there, but when she asks him where he's originally from, he changes the subject. Although the house has everything that Theo's looking for, and he even admits to it being beautiful, he lets Erin know that it isn't the one for him. Shocked, she walks after him asking why he isn't satisfied, but he admits that he can't tell her exactly. He wants something the same size but smaller and homier. Despite being confused more than ever, Erin promises to find Theo his perfect home, as she's never failed to find a home for her clients. Returning to the guest house, Theo is met by Frank, who asks Bess for her guest's information. Frank is Theo's valet in reality, and he almost reveals that to Bess, but Theo drags him outside. Frank asks him to come back home as he reveals that his father and the whole kingdom are looking for him. However, Theo lets him know that he won't be coming back home and that he plans on buying a house in Shaw Bay. Frank tries to change his mind and continuously calls him sir, so Theo asks him to call him by his name, so they wouldn't be recognized. Speaking of not being recognized, Theo asks Frank to stay with him at Shaw Bay, and not to let anyone know the truth. Over at the marina, we see Aaron and some men putting up the sign for a following event at the bay. Martha comes over and calls the sign worn out while claiming that a digital sign would be better. However, Aaron reminds her that the town is perfect as it is and that they don't need any digitalization. Before Theo goes out for a walk, he tries to scare Frank from behind. But it doesn't work, as Frank reveals to have hurt his left squeaking shoe, sneaking up on him once again, but this time barefoot. Not only does Theo scare him, but he makes him drop one of Bess's fish decorations. As they walk on their way to the next house, Aaron admits to feeling like Theo's hiding something from her. They go back and forth until Aaron tells him off, which surprises Theo. No one's ever told him off, so he admits to sometimes being blunt and rude. He apologizes for his acting and Aaron accepts it, with a positive attitude. They go look for the next house, which ends in disaster. Aaron stresses Theo's taste and how it's becoming impossible to please the man. Wanting to help, Harper suggests Aaron looks up Theo on the internet. Aaron doesn't want to do it at first, but she later agrees. Over at Bess's, Frank and Theo try to glue the fish back, but they're caught by Bess coming into the room. While handing them their fresh towels, she notices Theo hiding his right hand, so she asks them to tell her the truth. He finally pulls his hand out, and as he tries to hand her the fish, it doesn't come off his hand. Unfortunately, not only is the fish stuck to his hand, but a big punishment from Bess is on their plate as well. 264,000 names come up, but they find Theo Johnson, the renowned and notoriously private graffiti artist turned modern art master, to be the best match. That Theo is very mysterious, doesn't post pictures, and his artwork sells for millions. So, naturally, they think they've found the one. Aaron calls Theo to the office to show him an art-friendly house with a studio for him to paint in, but he reveals that he's never picked up a brush in his life. Not wanting to lie to him, she admits to looking up his name online. But instead of laughing it off, Theo gets upset and leaves. Harper advises Aaron not to think about the situation so much, and she agrees. She starts going on about how she wouldn't take him as a client even if he begged her when he appeared from behind. He apologizes for not answering all of her questions, as he admits that his life's too complicated. He finds it best to protect his privacy as he's at a delicate crossroads in his life. Aaron proposes a negotiation. If he were to thin out his list and tell her everything that he can, she would help him find his dream house. So they settle on an early dinner so they can work on finding the house. Back at the guest house, Franks is surprised to find out that Theo's realtor is a woman, but claims that it is not a problem. As Theo and Aaron work on finding a house, Harper comes to their table to pick up their plates. However, she makes sure to mention how helpful Aaron is, and how it's weird that she's still single. Aaron apologizes for her action, but Theo assures her that he understands what it's like when someone plays a matchmaker. Thinking that she's finally found the house, Aaron lets Theo know about it until she reads that it has a shared backyard. Devastated, she closes the laptop and admits that he's the only client that hasn't been satisfied with any of the houses she has presented him. However, he thinks that the blame is on his part, so he apologizes for being too picky. Not losing hope, Aaron suggests she shows him Shaw Bay, and claims that he would like to stay in a tent if he were to see the true town. The next morning comes and Theo is met with Bess and Frank tugging on one of the tables. Not only has Frank interfered with Bess's kitchen, but he is also trying to change the way things are in the guest house. Not wanting to deal with them, Theo excuses himself and lets them know that he'll be going to a picnic with Aaron. Concerned, Frank approaches him alone and expresses his worries about him. He reminds him that he is not Theo Johnson but King Theodore, the son of King Henry and heir apparent to the royal throne. Prince Theodore has to marry as well, as his father's found a suitable, beautiful princess for him, which is the reason why Theo ran away. Theo thinks that Shaw Bay could be the place for him to start fresh, to be free. Franks asks him not to run away from his life, but Theo assures him that he's not running away, but rather trying to find his life. As they're taking a walk along the shore, Aaron lets him know about the festival by the sea by inviting him to come. They spot Mitch fishing by the water and go to him. Mitch is happy to see them and even hands Theo his best fishing rod, so he can learn how to fish. Some time passes, but Theo seems to be out of luck as no fish pulls his rod. Mitch mentions the festival and invites him to come as well, claiming that he has to hear Aaron's speech. Even Aaron is surprised by his words, and her eyes light up. Mitch admits to recommending Aaron for the speech to the mayor, and despite being surprised, Aaron agrees to do it. Excited about her, Mitch goes to tell the mayor and asks them to watch over his stuff. As Aaron and Theo talk about her parents, the rod starts to move. They panic and stand up to hold the rod together. Aaron tries to tell Theo what to do, and as he's listening to her, he gets lost in her eyes and the fishing rod falls into the water. They sit in the park later on, enjoying the picnic and the food Harper's prepared for them. Theo asks her if she has picnics with every client she has, and Aaron decides to tell the truth. She admits that him buying a house would prove that the town doesn't need to change. Not wanting to sound merciful, she apologizes for her words, but he assures her that it's fine, and even says that Harper had been right when she said that she cares more about the other than herself. Aaron is more than happy to help the others, but she admits that she regrets agreeing to do the speech. She proceeds to tell the story about how she got the hiccups while singing solo at a high school concert. Huge crowds scare her, and that's why she has anxiety while on stage. However, Theo lets her in on a secret trick. He advises her to pick out a person from the crowd and to only focus on that person. They practice by Erin looking Theo straight in the eyes, and she admits that it works as everything else becomes blurry. As they dig into their food, Erin gets her sandwich all over her face, once again. This time, Theo suggests cleaning it up for her, and as he does, tension can be felt between the two. They grab ice cream on their way back, and Erin claims that it is the best ice cream in the world. Theo disagrees as he mentions a little place in Turin that has the best gelato, as well as the mango kulfi in India. Erin is amazed listening to him talk about all the places he's traveled to, but admits to not traveling as much as she would like on her own. Working all the time and making time for her clients has taken her free time to plan anything. However, she admits that she loves visiting antique shops that let her know about the history of the town. Walking to the window of one shop, she is amazed to see a beautiful tiara sitting on a velvet pillow. She asks Theo whether he thinks it's real, so he gets inside the store to find out. Theo seems to know a lot about diamonds and confirms that the tiara is real. Erin tries it on and she looks like a beautiful princess. They're having so much fun together that they don't notice Frank following them around everywhere they go. However, he lets Theo know that he has one later in the night when he goes to check on him. Theo is upset and asks him whether he has told the king about his whereabouts, but Frank reminds him that he never breaks his promises. The next morning, Frank's feeling anxious as he doesn't have anything to do, so Bess lets him use his valet skills to make beautiful centerpieces for the blankets at the picnic. Erin remembers Theo telling her that rowing was his passion, so she decides to go rowing with him in the lake. Looking at the kayaks, he lets her know that they're not rowing boats and that he uses oars, not paddles. Realizing that he might have come out as rude, he assures Erin that he will be fine because kayaks are essentially boats on the water. They start kayaking and Theo is confident that he'll be faster, but Erin lets him know that she paddled every day until she was 17 years old. They get to the shore and talk about how funny the seals look. Erin compares them to her ex-boyfriend when he used to lie on the couch and watch sports. Intrigued, Theo asks why they broke up. Erin reveals that his name was Brett and that he was a good man, but they had to split up because they were different. Theo reveals that it was his mother who recommended the place to him, and Erin hopes that he will tell her all the best about it. Unfortunately, Theo's mother passed away not long ago, and even though he is an adult, he can't stop missing her. Looking at the seals in the water, Theo expresses a desire to be like them, to have the ocean as their home so they can go wherever they like. Erin's sure that he has no privacy and peace, and he confirms all that but mentions that he's grateful as well. Wanting to relax him a little bit, Erin suggests he doesn't think about it, assuring him that he doesn't have to be anyone else but himself. Despite having a wonderful afternoon, Erin is met with some awful news coming to the shore. The sail notice has been put up at the marina, and even though Erin tries to prove to Martha that it would destroy their town, she doesn't listen to her. Theo suggests that it might not be bad for the town to get a new look, but Erin assures him that it will be bad. She even takes him to a place to prove it. They go on a hike, and as they reach the top, Erin lets Theo know that it is her favorite place, a place where her parents used to take her for a picnic or to paint. When she was little, she imagined living in a house on the exact hill and waking up to the beautiful scenery. Being amazed by the beauty in front of him, Theo apologizes for thinking that construction would be any good for the town. As they're talking, Erin notices that his shoelace is untied, so she lets him know about it. Theo gets down on one knee to tie his shoe when Frank runs out of the bushes, begging him not to do it. Annoyed, Theo tells Frank that he was tying his shoe and Frank goes quiet. Erin introduces herself to Frank, and even though she finds it odd how they could be college buddies considering their age gap, she lets it slide and suggests they go down the hill together. As she goes in front of them, Frank takes the chance to apologize to Theo, and admits to thinking that he was going to propose. Theo claims that his relationship with Erin is strictly business, but Frank lets him know that it's clear that he's in love. He advises Theo to tell Erin the truth, but Theo is afraid that she'll only see the title him as the rest. Theo returns to the guest house with Frank only to be greeted by Bess with "Your Royal Highness" terrified. They stare at her as she admits to seeing the uniform Frank brought. Once she finds out that Theo is the prince, she rushes to tell Erin, but Theo stops her and promises to tell her on his way. At the restaurant, Erin complains to Harper about the marina, and Harper wishes they had the money to buy it, which gives Erin the perfect idea. Taking Theo to the party by the water, she unfolds him and presents him with his new home. At first, he's confused as all he sees is land in front of him. But Erin explains to him that he'll have to buy the land and build his perfect home on it. Without any consideration, Theo agrees and Erin hugs him tightly out of excitement. Returning to the restaurant, Erin lets Harper know that she has found a place for Theo but doesn't let her know that it is the marina, as she doesn't want to jinx it. Harper is excited for her and has hope that the town will be saved. She hands Erin invites to the party that will be going on later in the evening, and asks Erin to invite Theo and Frank. Walking into the guest house, Aaron is met with the rather odd Bess. Bess tries hard not to reveal that Theo is royalty, and luckily he shows up fast, stopping her from doing so. Aaron returns the napkin Theo had given her when they first met, and as Frank comes she hands them the invites to Harper's party. Aaron thinks that it will be a great idea for Theo to give seafood a second chance, and she is right, as Theo calls the crab cakes amazing when he tries them at the party. Theo goes to grab more drinks, so Aaron decides to have some small talk with Frank. She asks whether they reside close by, but Frank refuses to answer that question as Theo enjoys his privacy. She tries asking him questions about his life, but he runs away and sits next to Bess. Theo comes back and they talk about Harper's success and the town's safety. Aaron admits that she doesn't have a lot to worry about since Theo saved the town. The only thing she worries about is her speech. Theo assures her that she'll do great while calling her intelligent, caring, and wonderful. He finally asks her for a dance, and so they dance together while having the time of their lives. Everyone around them can't help but stare, and so do Bess and Frank. Bess thinks that they'll make a great couple, but Frank reminds her that it's impossible since the prince has to return home and marry. Bess thinks that the prince should marry out of love and not for a title. Romance doesn't seem to only be a part of Aaron and Theo's relationship, as Bess and Frank are getting along well. Their need to help people is what connects them. As Frank's showing her how to fold a napkin, he gets a phone call and it is the king. Just as Theo's about to tell Aaron the truth, he gets pulled aside by Frank, who tells him that his father has frozen all of his bank accounts to get him back home. Devastated, he tells Frank that there must be a way, so they leave the party to come up with a solution. In the morning, Theo finds out that his father didn't like the proposal. Therefore, he has to reveal the truth to Aaron himself. Walking into her office, he apologizes and reveals that he can no longer buy the marina due to now having enough funds. Sitting down, he explains that he works for his father's business and a disagreement has led to a revaluation of his wealth. Aaron knows that it's not entirely his fault, so she doesn't get upset by it. Theo asks her how badly she wants to keep the marina, and she lets him know that her whole life's there. Coming up with a solution, Theo asks Aaron to keep Martha on hold and to give him a couple of days. Returning to the guest house shortly, he lets Frank know that he is willing to obey his father and have the life that was chosen for him, only if the king buys the marine in Shaw Bay. He is willing to sacrifice his future only for the marine to be saved for the town, and most importantly for Aaron. She can't help but overthink what's to happen to the marina if Theo doesn't buy it. Harper asks her not to spend so much time trying to preserve the past when it jeopardizes her future. As Harper goes to try on her dress for the picnic, Theo comes into the restaurant with some good news. He lets Aaron know that he has the funds for the marina, and even asks her to finalize the papers for him. She asks him to be honest with her as to how he got the money. And right as he's about to say it, Harper yells out for Aaron to help her. However, Theo promises to tell her the truth over lunch the following day. Back at the guest house, things seem to be bad as well. Frank and Bess stand together while working on the bouquets, and Frank admits that it might be his last one. With hope in her eyes, Bess asks whether he gets to stay, but Frank lets her know that he has to go where the prince goes. The next morning comes and we can see Theo and Aaron meet at the park. Looking at the contract, he realizes that the deal had been made with Theo Johnson, which is not who he is. Right as he's about to tell her the truth, a car pulls up and gives a honk before King Henry himself exits the vehicle. Getting closer, Theo can't believe that his father found him and wants to tell him to leave, but everyone is staring at them by that point. Aaron is confused and even thinks that it's a prank, but the king lets her know that Theo is actually Prince Theodore Montague, heir apparent to the Movovian throne. Shocked, Aaron tries to leave, but Theo stops her, admitting to wanting to tell her the truth but doesn't know how. The king chimes into their conversation and reveals that Theo has a princess waiting for him to return home. Instead of resolving the situation, Theo makes it worse, so Aaron runs off, asking him not to come after her. Theo and the king walk along the shore as the king scolds him for his disappearance. Henry supports Theo's decision as he reveals that he and Theo's mother used to come to the bay to relax. Theo's eyes light up as he hears that. He asks his father to help him save the town and promises to become the son that he wants. Henry lets Theo know that he will forever be proud of his son. Even if he wants to relinquish his titles and duties, he will support his decision. The day of the picnic comes and we can see a beautiful but rather nervous Aaron. As she sits on the bench, she gets approached by Bess, apologizing for keeping the truth from her the whole time. Aaron lets her know that it's fine and that it's not her fault. Thanks to Bess, Aaron changes her opinion about Theo and decides to give him another chance. Bess lets Aaron know that Theo will be purchasing the marina and sacrificing his future so that Aaron could enjoy the marina. It is finally time for Aaron's speech, and as she gets onto the stage, she can't seem to remember anything. However, Theo shows up in his prince suit and helps her remember it all. Her speech is about how much she loves Shaw Bay and the people in it. However, she has realized that a place is only special because of who you share it with. After the speech, she heads to Theo. She starts apologizing, but he cuts her off by calling her beautiful. Frank brings a box, and as Theo opens it, Aaron sees that it is the tiara they saw in the shop. Putting it on her, he claims that it is a small gift for helping him find a home in Shaw Bay. However, he reveals that his father will be buying it. Whether Theo leaves or not depends on Aaron. His father has allowed him to stay in Shaw Bay only if he carries out his duties, so Theo hopes that Aaron would accompany him in such events. Tears fill Erin's eyes as she says yes, but she gets even happier when Theo suggests they make a home for themselves on her favorite place, the hill. With a smile from ear to ear, they share their first kiss. Being the true valet he is, Franks makes sure to comment that public displays of affection are not prince-like, so Bess pulls him in for a kiss. The perfect ending to a perfect story, the marina is saved and true love is found.